Welcome to The Curious Keeper. I'm your host, Shannon Cutts, along with my ever-present feathered sidekick and co-host, Pearl Cutts. And I am also mama to an adorable 6.5-year-old red-footed tortoise named Malty. Now, I have learned a ton since I got Malty as a 5-week-old hatchling who was literally the size of a silver dollar. But even though we've been together for more than 6 years now, there is always something more to learn. And nearly on a daily basis, I will find myself watching her do something that just seems completely incomprehensible to me. And I will think, why do Redfoot tortoises do that? Almost like I really would love to be a Redfoot tortoise for a day and just to kind of like really understand the psychology and the behavior from her point of view. So that's kind of the inspiration for this series. It's why I asked my dear friend and respected colleague and wonderful avian and exotic species expert, Danielle Inman, to join us today. Danielle, and this is a topic for a completely different episode, but Danielle and I met when my Redfoot Malty was very, very ill. And I thought she was going to die. And I met Danielle on the day that I took her to the veterinary emergency room, and Danny walked into the room and she said, "Hi, my name is Danielle Inman, and I care for a 50-year-old Redfoot tortoise." And I thought, oh, thank goodness. Because sometimes Redfoot tortoise people, just like our tortoises, can be hard to find. And good, high quality, accurate information can be really hard to find. And so that's kind of what we're doing here. We're just saying we're taking a behavior that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense to us warm-blooded beings and kind of trying to decode it. And so thank you so much, Danny, for being here today and for being willing to share your time and expertise. Today, we're going to look at a question I have often had over the years as I've watched Malty, who is best friends with our dachshund, Flash Gordon. And, Flash likes to scratch around in his bedding a lot of times, or he'll kind of make a burrow on the couch, or he likes to, kind of crawl under and behind things. And, Malty does a very similar type behavior. I can't count the number of times where, speaking of dogs and yep. So, there have been so many times where Malty has crawled into some dark, wonderful to her place, filled with, kind of wet leaf litter and God knows what kind of insects. And I've had to go in after her and get her out. And I think, why doesn't she just stay out in the open where it's easy? It's like, so why do Redfoot tortoises do that?
Okay, the burrowing behavior that you're describing, or that hiding behavior that you're describing, serves a couple of purposes. And the main one is as an evasive maneuver, essentially, to escape further potential for predation. And that's the reason that we see it a bit more in small tortoises than we do in larger tortoises. So when your tortoise is young and small and more vulnerable to a whole host of predators, they're going to need that secondary defense mechanism that their shell doesn't provide yet. And so burrowing under logs, into tall grass, into mud clumps, under leaf litter, all of those things are to make them feel safe and avoid the potential for predation by, when they're small, even a small predator, could consume them or injure them at very least. And so as they age and as they grow, you'll see a bit less of that behavior, or not with the same enthusiasm and dedication as a small tortoise. Just because once they're large, really the only thing they have to worry about as far as wild animals go in their natural habitats are humans, number one, unfortunately. And then things like jaguars or large caiman, for the most part, that shell is going to protect them from most other things. So we also see this behavior associated with thermoregulation, or controlling the body temperature. And so when it's very warm or very cold, when we see either extreme, that's another thing that will trigger this behavior in tortoises, and in Redfoot tortoises especially. So if it's a really chilly day and there's not much sun, not much good basking area to be had, then you may see them burrow in. The opposite can be said. If it's very, very warm, they want, a cool, shady spot, and they'll kind of dig down into the earth a little bit and may find a cool, damp area to cool their body temperature also a bit. And so those are the main reasons that this behavior is carried out by Redfoot tortoises.
Interesting, because I when I first got Malty, of course, she was this just teensy tiny, one of the tiniest living things I'd ever seen, and I was so nervous, and I just really, being my first tortoise and everything, I really wanted to do a good job. I wanted to be a good mommy. I wanted her to like me, and so I remember after the first week or so, actually like writing an email to the breeder and saying, I'm worried that my tortoise doesn't like me because I never see her. She doesn't come out. And now it's starting to occur to me, well, she probably was just doing the instinctive wild thing that she would have done if she had been in South America, pop out of her egg and immediately go find a place to hide.
Right. And it takes a while, for new tortoises to realize that we're friend and not foe. We're big and scary and could potentially pose a threat. And so until that relationship is established and they see you as the bringer of food and all things good and wonderful, they do tend to hide a bit more. And it's really important to let them engage in that behavior, because it's when we're constantly pulling them back out and overexposing them that they become stressed, and then they will sometimes stop their other natural behaviors like eating and basking. And so it is important to allow them to do that.
Interesting. Yeah, I really.
There's a dog drinking right next to me. And
I hear that. Well, we've got
climbing up my chair.
Oh, hi. Aren't you beautiful? Oh, magnificent.
Yes, sir. I know.
So
anyhow,
isn't this the best life? This is the best life. Just have our interspecies flock all around us, and just, and that's something else interesting. Even though Malty and I have been together for more than 6 years, and she knows me very well as the supplier of the hard-boiled eggs and the papaya and the salmon, and and unfortunately also the greens, but but she's still like, if I approach her, and because I am, she's this size and I'm like, I look like Mount Everest to her, and if the shadow is just the right way, she does a cringing behavior, and she goes, what I just call it, because I don't know what to call it, I just say she kind of goes feral. It's more wild than feral, and that has never gone away. Even though,
and that's a very healthy and normal response. Tortoises don't have great eyesight, and so it's decent. And once you're close enough and they realize who you are, then generally, they'll come back out and things are fine, and a good time can be had by all. But if, like you said, when you first walk up and you startle them, they absolutely will do that quick pull-in behavior to make sure that they stay safe. Really.
Boy, we've got some expert commentary today. This has been a particularly discussion, a rich multi-species discussion, which is just the way that we like it. So that is information about why the heck Redfoot tortoises like to burrow into things, or scratch through leaves, or hide and burrow. So if you are caring for a young tortoise, hopefully that will help you. And if you've been curious about things you've seen on Instagram and elsewhere, that gives you a little more insight, maybe a minute in the life of a tortoise. So we look forward to bringing you lots more interesting answers to the questions about why do Redfoot tortoises do that. And thank you so much to Danny and to Hondo for being
his valuable contribution is appreciated.
Yes. For sure. And until next time. See you
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.